In his book, Atomic Habits, the author James Clear talks about how there are essentially 3 different ways that we can change our life. The first layer of changing your life is trying to change the outcomes. And I think that we've all realized lately that there is so much of life that is outside of our control. And therefore, when we are always trying to change based on our outcomes, we'll often feel disappointed because at any moment, those outcomes can change. The second layer of change is changing your systems, or as I like to call them in my most recent planning video, your projects. Whilst this is a very effective way of both planning, goal setting, and trying to achieve an outcome, it still isn't even the most effective way to truly change your life. I mean, how many times have you said to yourself that you're going to work out 5 times a week to get fitter and to become a healthy person, and then when life gets in the way, you just have completely fallen off this new habit? Which is why it is so important when trying to change your life that you focus on the third layer. And the third layer is essentially your identity. Who you believe you are is going to determine the life that you live and the changes that you're able to make. I remember Tony Robbins once saying that we will always act in accordance to who we believe we are. And this is why change for so many people is so incredibly difficult. So what I'm really trying to say is that true change is not what we want, it's not what we do, but rather who we are. I think now more than ever, it's time to take a look at who we are and assess whether that person is really aligned with the vision that we have for our lives. Because here's the thing, most of us have been living our lives at 100 miles an hour, never really slowing down to decide consciously who we want to be. They say that we have about 80,000 thoughts every single day, many of which are just repeated from the day before. And when we're moving so quickly and thinking so quickly through our lives and living so much of it on autopilot, it's no wonder that change is so hard because we're just not slowing down to consciously decide who we want to be. Insert self-isolation. We've all been put into this situation where we are stuck or safe at home, I like to say. And while in the beginning it seemed like this meant that 2020 was out the window for all productivity and personal growth, I in fact think that now is the perfect time to slow down and finally change your life. So in this video today, what I want to do is take you through the exact steps that you need to do to change your life. And yes, still in 2020. Now that you've got this time available, I believe it's actually the perfect time to start building the habits that will ultimately lead to you changing your life. Now, one thing I did want to mention as well is I have created a free worksheet for you to follow along and for you to do the exercises that I'm going to share with you. So make sure you do download that using the link below. Also, I just want to mention that these are not just something that I'm theoretically making up. If you watched my video a couple of weeks ago where I shared with you how I actually changed my own life, going from someone who was a lazy, unfocused party girl who was only concerned with going out and getting drunk every single weekend, to someone who's now running a company, running a YouTube channel, making multiple 6 figures a year, that life change that I went through is exactly what I've built the steps in this video off. The first thing that you need to do is you need to find inspiration. Now, there's a big difference between inspiration and motivation. Inspiration is something that is going to get you started. It's like the spark that is ultimately going to push you into momentum. Motivation, however, is sustainable. It's internal, and it's the thing that's going to keep you going. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to find sources of inspiration, external sources that just get you excited and give you this sense of possibility. For me, what really helped me to make the decision of it's now, I'm going to change my life and it's possible for me, was watching a video that I'm going to leave linked below, and I also mentioned in the video where I spoke about changing my life. But whatever it may be, podcasts, YouTube videos, motivational videos, going to a seminar, hiring a coach, taking a course, being a part of a mastermind. There's so many ways that you can find inspiration, but really it has to give you that feeling of possibility. Not just those googly good feelings that you feel of like, oh my God, that was nice to watch. No, you should walk away feeling like, oh my gosh, my perception perception of myself has been changed, and now I have this sense of self-belief that what this person in this video, podcast, YouTube channel is telling me is possible for me, I also realize is possible for myself as well. So the first thing you really want to do is you want to find those sources of inspiration and actually make a list of them. I've given you space in the worksheet to actually write these down, but you want to know exactly what they are so that you can call on them if you need that re-spark a little later down your journey. But the second part, the motivation. This is your why. This is why you need to change your life. What is going to keep you focused when you have bad days? Because they will come, and we'll talk about those a little more. But you need that internal reason for why changing your life is so important. You know, for me, it was the thought of the fact that when I started thinking about I wanted to change my life, I may have only been about 22 at the time, so I still felt like I had, so many years ahead of me. But I knew that if I was kept going the way that I was going, smoking, drinking, I was going to do a lot of damage to my health. And I knew that if I didn't do something now, change my life now, try harder at uni, focus more on what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, and creating a life for myself in the future, that I was going to wake up one day, be 28 years old, and be like, I have nothing to show for the past decade. And so that was my internal motivation. That's what kept me going. My why, my vision, my purpose, my values. All of those things are so important. A lot of people just make the decision to change their life and they don't actually back it with a solid why or a solid vision or a solid purpose. Now, if you need extra help with this, I do have a program that I have actually created called Vision and Tribe, more so for entrepreneurs who are also not only trying to change their life, but trying to build an audience and build that personal brand and position themselves as a leader. But we do a lot of exercises around figuring out exactly what that internal motivation needs to be and who you need to be to keep going with it. So definitely check that out. I'm not going to speak about it too much because obviously I want to give you as much value in this video, but if you did want something extra, that is also an option for you. So obviously a big part of this internal motivation, like I said, is what are the consequences of not changing? For me, like I said, it's really important that I recognized if I kept going the way that I was going, it was going to be at the detriment of my health, of my future, of my relationships. I knew that I would be so disappointed in myself if I didn't make that change now. And that was one of the reasons why I had such a fire lit under my butt to make those personal changes. And I really did, like I said in my previous video, I went from someone who was barely showing up to uni to graduating in the top 15%. And I wasn't identifying as that person before this, but the realization that if I didn't make that change now, my life was going to end up nowhere near how I really wanted it to, was the motivation that I needed. So not only why do you want to make these changes, maybe it's for your family, maybe you want to make more money, maybe you want to do good for your community, but also what are those consequences of you not changing? So in your worksheet, definitely spend some time mulling over those two areas because those are seriously important for you to finally make changes. And the next part of this is identifying exactly what needs to change. I made a video a couple of months ago about talking about when we change our life, we have to identify, are we doing a small pivot or are we doing a full 180 flip? So you can definitely go watch that if you want some extra resources. But again, what so many people do is they say, I need to change my life. I'm unhappy. Where? Maybe not going where, but you know what I mean. I know it's a very serious situation. A lot of people just feel stuck and they complain and they complain and they complain, but they don't want to do anything about it. They don't want to actually take the action steps to change their life. It starts with that inspiration. It moves to that motivation and that commitment that you need to make yourself. But the next step here is actually fully identifying what change needs to be made and what are the action steps that I need to take. Here's a really important thing, right? When you're identifying not only what you want to change in your life, I think for some people that's probably the easy part. But the difficult part is the how. Because we're so heavily influenced by other people's opinions and what life should look like, we often start taking actions that aren't aligned with our own personal values and are not aligned with our own personal enjoyment. One of the reasons why I've been so successful, please hear me when I say this, because this might be the most important part of the video. One of the reasons why I have been so successful in changing my life is because one of my highest values is fun. Where I see so many people going wrong is they say, I'm going to change my life and therefore I have to do this, this, and this. I want to lose weight, so I have to go to the gym. I want to make more money, so I have to start an online coaching business. If it is not in alignment with what you truly are going to enjoy, I guarantee you will not end up changing your life. You will retract back because there's so much fear associated with changing your life that the only thing to combat that is enjoyment. So take the time here, right? When you're thinking about what areas of my life do I need to change and how am I going to change it, give yourself the luxury of time of actually finding a way that you find enjoyable. Because even when you retract, you fall off the bandwagon, you fail, because these are all inevitable things when you're changing your life. The pure fact that you're having fun most of the time is going to be the thing that allows you to enjoy the journey and not just focus consistently on that end result. Our life is made up of the journey. It's not made up of these little tiny milestones of, I want to lose weight, let me get to that 5 kilos. I want to start a business, let me get to that 10K. No, it's made up of every workout, every coaching session, all the things that you do to get to that. And if you don't enjoy that, why would you keep it up? That's probably one of the reasons why you failed at changing your life in the past. So give yourself that luxury of time. For me, I wanted to lose weight so desperately recently because I felt really unhealthy. And I found something doing martial arts, which really I enjoyed. Going to the gym, I just couldn't commit to it. So give yourself that luxury of time of finding something you enjoy. Now, the next part is the most important part. You've got your inspiration, you've got your motivation, your reasons, your why, your consequences, and now you've got an action plan, a fun action plan that you're excited about. One of the reasons why I'm so motivated all the time is because I'm constantly looking forward to things. I'm excited for things. The next part is that you have to make that decision.
Make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide.
You have to truly make that decision and make that commitment. And the only way to do that is by taking responsibility. For so many of us, we live in a state of, I can't because of this reason. I can't because of that reason. My family, my job, my boss. We're always putting the power outside of ourselves. When you take 100% responsibility for yourself 100% of the time, you take all of the power back to finally change your life. And so what you really need to do, whether you need to write it out, whether you need to tattoo it on yourself, whether you need to plaster it all over your house, I take 100% responsibility 100% of the time. Because when you do that, when you take that power back, you stop feeding your excuses. You realize that when you say, I don't have enough time to go live or to build my audience or to create content, that it's your responsibility to change your timetable, your structure, whatever. You have to change your life. Nobody else is going to change your life for you. It's as simple as that. So if you try and fail and try and fail and try and fail, you've got to pick yourself up that 8th time and try again, because nobody else is going to do this for you. And if you know that you deserve a better quality of life than what you're living right now, because I felt that I deserved better than just what I was experiencing, partying, no any real relationships, no real connection, no real purpose. I knew I was better than that, but I knew nobody else was going to make that change for me. No one else was going to study for me. Nobody else was going to build this business for me. And when you take that control into your own hands, that's when true change will happen. The next part is reconnect with your inspiration. You know why? Because failure is going to happen. Along the path of changing your life, there's going to be temptation. There's going to be down days. There's going to be days where you just don't believe in yourself. And this is why I really like to very practically give you the exercise of creating an inspiration and motivation toolkit. So I had a bunch of videos that I watched over and over and over and over again. So almost every single day I was sparking that sense of inspiration. I wasn't letting that inspiration dwindle off. I was really getting myself pumped up consistently to make these changes in my life. I also created a video recently about making your own personal video vision board. That could be a cool resource as well. But either way, books, podcasts, videos, whatever you need, make sure you've got those to fall back on the days where you feel like you're retracting back into into your old ways. But then also make sure you're connecting consistently with that internal motivation, your personal why. Most people make a vision board, set goals, write up a vision for their life, and they like close the book and forget about it. How are you supposed to be reminded of what you're working towards if you never actually remind yourself? Remember, responsibility. Take responsibility for being your own coach, reminding yourself what you are focusing on and what this is all for. One little thing I would like to say on that as well is you probably will need to find new sources of inspiration consistently, because you will become desensitized to the inspiration that you're getting from maybe those initial pieces of content that inspired you in the first place. So again, just make sure you know what types of content inspire you, and you may go through different phases as well. For me in the beginning, it was like, those real Mulligan's Brothers style motivational videos that really inspired me, and now it's more so watching people like me doing awesome things in the world and picturing myself in their shoes. And so make sure you're just constantly looking for things that are making you feel good, and also just not looking at things that don't make you feel good, not looking at things that make you feel less than worthy or that you're not good enough. Like, again, responsibility, you choose what you consume. But then the final thing is realizing that you don't have to do this alone. And I know I feel like I talk about this in almost every single video because it is one of the most powerful elements of personal development. Even though it's called personal development and we take responsibility for ourselves, having other people around you to support you through this process is so important. Honestly, I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have the love and support of my family. I was really fortunate enough to have met George as I was going through the process of that change, and he's been so supportive this whole entire time, and it really has been that, and then the support of my family, and then the people that I've met online that have helped me like not retract back into my old ways of who I was and keep me focused on moving forward. So having people around you to support you is another really great way to just keep you on track. Because that's the thing, you're a human being, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna retract, and really what I'm trying to share with you today is whatever change you're trying to make in your life, whether it's start a business, whether it's do better at uni, whether it's get healthier, whether it's have better relationships, you've got to identify what that change is and how you're going to make it. But all these other things that I've given you today, I hope that you put in your toolkit and recognize that it is a journey. It is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's your responsibility to just keep taking one step at a time. And even if you accidentally fall backwards, get yourself back up and keep moving forward. Take responsibility for this change. I know I did, and it was honestly, I couldn't imagine where I would be today, what my life would look like. Actually, I can, because there were lots of people who were doing the same things that I were doing, and I know what their life turned out like. And so I'm really grateful that I made that decision on that day that I was going to change my life, and that now I'm here and I can share that inspiration with you. So I'm totally here. If you need support, I would love to either have you in the Vision and Tribe program, or of course just reach out to me on social media and share your journey with me, share your story. I love hearing from you. I really appreciate you watching this video. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but I really appreciate it, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.